Thank you, UX Pakistan, for having me at your podium. Kudos to Suleiman Shahid and the team. You did super awesome job. I know life is tough out there these days, right? And we are suffering from so many things from each and every direction. Either you are working in a corporate environment or you're a daily wager. Things are not easy, totally not easy. We are all doing what we can do to stay sane, I would say. And I really appreciate what UX Pakistan is doing and donating toward the non-profit organization known as RISK. Great job, guys. So I'm Mudassir Azeemi, currently working as a lead interaction designer for Wells Fargo. And I'm working on a portal, which is actually bringing 43% of Wells Fargo revenue. And it's like, doing around $13 trillion of transaction every year. Imagine that. And I'm the guy who brought Urdu language on Apple's iOS 2 billion devices, as many of you have known me from that story. So I have a story to share, and Suleiman and Imran knows I have tons of stories to share with, I did lots of story telling with them during their podcast as well. So back in 2012, I was hired as a contractor at Wells Fargo. And believe me or not, it was my first UX professional job because I just switched from the software development. I spent 4 years doing self-study and, creating my own apps and what have you. Then I became a full-time employee. There I started as an interaction designer and then promoted to lead interaction designer. For their design system, I was tasked to create a date picker component. And guess what? 25 different variation of date picker we have figured out in the universe of our portal. And then the part of that component was also a calendar component, right? When you click on the date component button, you see the calendar component. Crazy time for newbie like me at that, when I started my life at Wells Fargo. So we were actually building a design system for Wells Fargo Commercial Electronic Office Portal. In short, we are calling it CEO portal. It's a wholesale banking industry. That portal is doing $13 trillion transaction per year and bringing 43% revenue of for the Wells Fargo. A very high-end mission critical product it is. So why that big amount? Because we are offering 99 services on this portal, like account receivable, wire transfer, and it's for a big customers, right? So when I say big, what do I mean by that is if you want to open an account with our commercial electronic office portal, you must be earning $5 million revenue per year, right? So lots of, big Silicon Valley, big names are our client actually. So we were able to nail down all the micro and macro issues. At least that's what we think when we launched the first version. However, it took us almost 5 years to build a solid, mature design system. Why it took that long? Right? It's like, it took us almost 25 version of design system to be designed, the version I would say, and almost 54 releases of our code base in the year of 2019. So again, imagine that we started in 2012. You know why? I have a one-liner for you guys because Rome was not built in a day, right? Once we built the design system and deployed it, it becomes super easy. And I will talk about whys. I will cover the why we did it and what we did it actually. So it became a super easy, all right, for all of us, for whole team. When I say whole team, I mean developers, content team, the visual designers, interaction designers, product managers, front-end developers, and the back-end developers. Every single one in our team were super happy about it. Was it easy? No. It was absolutely an uphill battle. So look at this transformation. And disclaimer, these images can be found online. If you Google up Wells Fargo Commercial Electronic Office Portal, you can find these images. So I'm using I'm not using anything which is like, my employer gonna kick me out if I, start showing it to them, showing it to everyone in the world. So on the left side, you see, this is what we were in 2000. In 2013, when we deployed the design system, that's how it looks like. It's a totally brand new, our portal, mobile accessible, tablet accessible, and what have you. So this, how we were able to achieve this thing. It's a big, imagine that 99 services, right? You are actually updating your whole portal one by one and making sure your business not get disrupted. So in next 15 minutes, I'm going to unpack the what, whys of the design system and its implementation and its connection with enterprise apps and services. However, I expect you guys to think beyond your style guide and sketch or Figma UI kit. So these are the big corporation, right? So which I actually, did analysis as well recently for a couple of projects. Almost 18 design systems I analyzed. There was some small projects that was going on. Then it became like a ginormous project now for our design system universe. And this is what, they were my inspirational, or I would say lighthouse for me. These design systems, Salesforce design system, known as Salesforce Lightning, IBM Carbon, BBC Gel, very interesting. Tesla, yeah. So I came to know Tesla when I interviewed, right? So it's mostly all about like, for the marketing website, not for the enterprise app. Altacian, Jira Confluence people, right? Google, yeah, Google material design. So imagine that. So when we had some like, we were looking forward to like how to understand how Google and other companies are actually tackling this thing. So we invited Google material design team. It was a very like intimate meetup with them at Wells Fargo. And we did learn tons of things from them. And at the end, we realized, so they are struggling with the same kind of, phenomena that we are going through, that how to make it widely acceptable within your enterprise. And then again, there's Australian government design system. They also applied the design system, and they have an amazing, website. You go around, check out how they documented it. I think there's a guy from the Kareem. He is talking about design documentation. Very important, actually. So let's find out what is design system first. What is the hype around? Like, recently you may heard about it, that, everybody is looking for a design system designer, or somebody around that, from that field. So why the UI kits are not the design system? Why is that? So why it is important to think about it from day one, first of all, if you are starting your startup or, product redesign initiative at your corporate world. And who is this for? Who's going to benefit out of it? And most important thing, very important thing about the ROI of the design system. See, there's a thing, right? So that's that, right? So let's find out what and why the core of our design system. So in my next slide, I'll share an example with you. All right, let me switch to another screen, and I'll ask you, like, let's take a look at another website. So I'm gonna cancel this, and I can, okay. This is another website, and recently what I did, because one of my relative, we were applying for their green card. And when I was applying the green card, so they asked me, the US Immigration Services, that, hey, we need the family relation certificate. So it took me almost 3 hours to understand another website. Apologies. However, they did super amazing job, right? Once I figured out how to operate their website, I was able to get the FRC certificate within 10 minutes via email. Kudos, awesome job. However, there are so many, disconnected components and interaction. It was like, it took me some while. So when I talked to my sister-in-law, she told me, hey, Mudassir bhai, don't think from American mindset, think from the Pakistani mindset. So it was a little bit like, I didn't like this thing, but I felt that, the design need is there. So we need to bring it not just on the corporate level, but on the government level as well. This mindset of, applying the design system everywhere. So on the left-hand side, it looks like another website, right? And you may see And you may see there's a button. It says open a new ticket. And then there's another button. It says check ticket status. Interesting, right? Then if you try to apply for the card, FRC certificate, you are thrown to another website within the NADRA website universe. It says, CNIC card, and this is where you see two button with the same background color. There's no difference between what is the primary button and what is the secondary button. Both of them with the green color, right? So, but their hex value is different. Surprising, right? So it was like annoying for me to actually quickly scan and make decision. And then let's go back. Let's and then start. Then one more thing I noticed. So on the left hand side, which says the NADRA website, right? This one, it says requirement eligibility, right? So this is where they are showing the feedback component in the design system universe. If I start, unlayering all the components and trying to figure out my inventory of elements and UI elements. So this is actually a feedback component. So the structure of this component is very unique. It is a background, which is signifying that, hey, there's some important note you need to make sure to pay attention to, right? And then there's a icon, text, which is actually a message. And there's a button, the link color. Interesting, right? Same domain when you switch to applying for the CNIC card or FRC. So this is where it start becoming totally different kind of experience. There you see the same kind of feedback component, but this time there's no icon. The link color is totally different from what I have known from the NADRA website. The buttons, the colors are all same. There's no difference. There's no difference. It's like confusing. And you may argue that they are two different entities. They are not dealing, their teams are, maybe connect, or like they're not part of the same team. I will prove you wrong, actually. Check out the domain over here, the URL. Okay. It's kind of subdomain of, a NADRA. And when I'm going to the site where I need to apply for the CNIC, guess what's happening? The logo changed from NADRA to Government of Pakistan. I don't know why. The whole experience is very weird for me as a user, right? So let's first clear something obvious about a journal misconception and keep repeating it. I apologize, but I am keep seeing that whenever I talk about design system, people think that it is actually a UI kit. It's not a UI kit development. UI kits, in my opinion, are pretty screenshots designed by the major designers to speed up their work. It's part of the design system universe, but not the whole design system. And I will tell you why. Think of design system like I would say, let's say a city, all right? So I live in a city known as Mountain House. That city was established in 1996. What you see today, if you visit this city, it has 6 K-8 schools, 1 high school, more neighborhoods, are under. Town center just got built, we just recently got our town center and permanent library. We have our own fire station, and each neighborhood has a park and one central park we have, and we do our July 4th parade. Super awesome. So current population is 20,000. Roads are working fine. There's a whole system around the city. You cannot build an extra room in your home without permission. This is very common across all America, but just giving you an example that you need a permission to build a single tiny room in your house if you want to extend. So you need to get a permission from the city, right? To get the approval and this process. So when you're building a city, you have to make sure it is sustainable, scalable, and also there should be a local consistency around the streets. Pavement, footpath in Pakistani term, a government, which makes sure things are working fine, city police, firefighter, and what have you. So you zoom in and zoom out. So you start with the holistic approach, like, what you have to build, what's going on, what's the ecosystem you are building actually. So let's unpack when I say, whole ecosystem design system. So let's unpack the design system and see what exactly the design system is. So according to my experience working at Wells Fargo for last almost 7 years now, this is what I think the design system is. It's a collection of governance. And when I say governance, what do I mean by that? You need a proper control based on the context for which you are building a design system. It is the exercise of power, which I translate into as follows. No one should be adding willy-nilly component or pattern just because they feel like it. Hey, I just feel like this green color is my favorite color. I'm gonna put this color instead of following what the design system is saying. If there is a need, then there should be a proper process. Then there should be a feature request coming to the team through a proper channel. Then team can kicks in the discovery process and the whole 9 yards of any design methodology your enterprise adopted. It depends whatever your design methodology you're applying. This is where your product manager can help the team. Just a quick question. Are you guys, hearing my voice properly? It's working fine at your end? Suleiman, if you can just let me know, give me a confirmation.
It's going very well. We're hearing you fine. There are questions happening. So I'll post everything at the end.
Okay, perfect. So second part is standards. So level of quality should be maintained. For example, if your text input field can accept unlimited number of text, because this is how it is coded, but the standard for phone input field for United States should follows a proper standard, which is 10 character and only numbers, and hyphen sign, formatting symbol should not be counted toward those whole total length of character that's supported for that field. So governance standard, right? Now, again, this is now we can bring the UI kit. So what is UI kit? So what we did, we started in the Adobe Fireworks, but now we have our full design kit in Sketch. So a reusable kit. So any team which is applying your design system, their designer can quickly jump on an idea and use the reusable component in visual format, right? Now, the fourth thing, and very important, I cannot stress, I don't know, I want to stress as much as I can on that, a reusable working UI element library, which your team can use to build an actual working application. Because as I said, UI kits are just screenshots. If you have a living example, your team can go ahead and play with the code and see if it fits their need or not. And also you should have a pattern library. And the last but not least, you should have a sample application or a reference application, which guides the team who is implementing your design system that how might they can create the patterns. What are the common patterns across your application or across your products, product suite? What may you have, right? So make sure, again, document every single thing. It is tedious, but it will help you in the long run, because big corporations are document heavy and their teams are not confined at one location. So how you communicate, you must, how you going to communicate with the team who are actually in Europe and one is in Pakistan, right? So that's very important, documentation. And also you must involve your team, the whole 9 yards, as I said, from the team aspect as well. In a big enterprise, we have QA team, front-end developers, UX engineers, beside UX user researchers, accessibility expert, content strategist, interaction designer, and visual designer. When you're assembling the team to start your design system project, do make sure to involve all of them, because design system is not the UI kit. I know you're hearing it again and again from me like a broken record. Don't get me wrong, all right? These kits are super helpful to articulate and ideate the expected pattern during early design marathon. But if this is the only thing you're producing, then don't call it a design system. So why? Let's talk about the why, all right? So when you're building something, you don't need redundancy, even in the shades of color. For example, let me give you a very real world example. HubSpot, a popular social marketing platform. when they did their audit, they found out 100 plus different shades of gray. Imagine that, 100 plus shades of gray, 16 different systems of model, you know, the model dialog box, 5 different ways to filter the table, 40 plus text styles in 3 different fonts. Why it is important? Why enterprise should invest in the design system? It basically take away the focus of your team from chasing the pixel during product development project and adjust focus on customer need. And this is the coolest part of the design system, right? So you don't need to worry about, you know, a single thing that, you know, oh my God, you know, what color of shade I have to use and what have you or what not. You are now basically focusing on actual customer needs. This is how the design system going to help you in the long run. The best time to start thinking about design system is now. Simplest way to start is adopting atomic design methodology. If you don't know how to start, go and check out Atomic Design Methodology by Brad Frost. And this is how it looks like. Very simple, right? It's like coming from the abstract to concrete. You know, they have that super awesome atoms, molecules, organisms, templates, pages. Very interesting concept. Go ahead and read about it. So let's see how you know, the enterprise-wide impact of, you know, design system. So again, as I said, focusing on customer more than on pixel, right? That's all right. Let's start from the left. If you're seeing my screen, very interesting, right? Very interesting. And I was also surprised, and that's the reason I did not put their logo when I was showing that who are the champions at the moment. So from left to right, you may notice few differences, right? So there are differences in the icon. First of all, right, the purple icon. Let me take my mouse. If I can take my mouse, it's not there. We're not going to there. That's fine. So on the left, you see there's a purple, you know, the mouse, the icon which says library, right, at the bottom navigation bar, and then the middle screen is showing the library, and the icon is totally different. And then on the very right side, you see the library icon again is different, and surprisingly, the title text is different too. And and notice a few more differences. So I understand the color theme. That's fine. That makes sense. However, the middle screen is very confusing. Like, you know, it's a library, but like, I don't care about artist and album. I just, you know, as a user, I'm mostly concerned about playlists. I can dig deeper if I want to you know, sort my library according to genre or, you know, albums and what have you, but I don't need it right now. It's all hodgepodge. It's like, you know, I have to do the mental, you know, jumping actually between the interaction, right? Guess which apps they are. On the left is Apple Podcast app. In the middle is Apple Music app. And on the right is Apple Books app. And guess what? I was interviewed recently at Apple, and I heard about Apple design team that they are not cohesive. They don't have a cohesive approach. And I thought it is a myth among designers. But when during the interview, actually I asked from the interviewer. So he said, hey, do you have any question for me? I said, yeah, I have. And my question is, how cohesive your team is, you know, what's your collaboration, you know, level is, how collaborative you are. So guess what he said? That what you heard about the myth is actually true. They do have a HCI department, but the problem is the teams are not united. That was my biggest learning, you know, during the interview. And this is how I came to know. And then I started digging more and more, and I found out, oh, that's the reason they have a different experiences across their apps. Same app from same company, you know, same apps from same company. So the biggest impact on enterprise, or even if you're a small startup, right, huddling in your garage to build the next awesome product, is your team actually. The biggest impact is on your team. So As I said earlier, it's not a pretty static image confined in the Sketch, Figma, Illustrator, whatever design tool you're using. It is a living, breathing system, which means those who have designed it can play with the component, ability to combine them and build a pattern around it. Think of it like a Lego. This action, brings everyone on the team on a single table. No more silos. Everybody is working together. Another impact, right? So I can think of is this: design system can act as a single source of truth. Do attend this documentation, talk from that awesome, this will help you a lot in more detail. No more guesswork, because there will be no more like, I wonder how the designer in Islamabad or in San Francisco or in Karachi or in Singapore are tackling it. And in return, we will get a cohesive experience for our customer. So design system will become a single source of truth across your enterprise. So consistency in your branding, very importantly, aligning your branding, right? So consistency in brand identity across the multiple product will get a huge impact, because the interesting part is atoms in your app will behave same across multiple products. For example, error validation appearance won't be a jumpy, experience, just or a feedback component will show similar experience, same experience, as we have seen the difference of opinion in the Nadra's website, right? So, and this is how you will maintain the sanity among your customer. Obviously, basically you're aligning with your user mental model, serving them exactly what they're expecting. So there will be no more surprises. So let me wrap up now. So building multiple digital products and maintaining the parity between them is a challenge. It's not easy. I understand. Everybody understand, especially in big organization. But to ease your pain, you can start with the design system, not just with UI kit. So bring the process, bring certain kind of, I would say, mindset among your team, right? This will help your team stay sane and your customer delighted about the cohesive experience. You are actually helping your team to deliver the high quality product for your customer, thus increasing their trust in your product and helping them to stay loyal to your product. And guess what? It will bring more revenue. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope I was able to convince you why a design system is needed and its impact and connection with the enterprise world. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for your very good talk, very relevant topic. I think we were talking also in the discussion chat, people were very active. And one of the things we were all saying that this is a topic which many people don't talk about and is fundamental for building enterprise app. We do have two questions, Mudassir, for you. And let me put the first one, and that is that, does design system not limit designers' creativity? I've seen designers complain in large organizations that brand team has enforced everything so tightly that it kills creativity. So that's the first question, so the relationship between the brand system and enforcement and creativity. How would you say that?
Sure. Recently, again, a story. So too many stories I have from the battlefield. What happened is, we were exploring the component toggle and the switch component. So we thought that we do need a switch component, a toggle component. So we were not sure about it. So what I did, I went ahead, I started exploring other design system, found out Apple is calling, what Apple and Google are using is a switch for what we were hoping to build. And there was a difference between a toggle component and the switch component. So we found out, like, industry standard is totally different when it comes to switch component. So at the end of the day, we become more creative. Why? Because we did not spend time and money on building the toggle component, because we found out we have a radio button component, and I think segregated button or something like this. This is what the human interface guideline of Apple says about it, which is actually a toggle button when you open your email app on iPhone. And Google is calling the toggle button in their button spec. which is very interesting. So we become creative and we said, hey, we already have a radio button group. So why don't we just actually, update this spec and say, hey, if you configure this way, we wrote the standard and we did not spend a single bit of time and money on it. We save some time, right? We become a bit creative. However, we do need a switch button because we found out there is a need across our applications. And we brought in the switch component, a brand new component, which looks like a switch component when you open the, when you operate the airplane mode on Android or on your iPhone, right? So creativity when there's a constraint. And you find, very innovative ways to actually bring the same kind of solution with the proper standard to your customer. That's how I can,
very much, Mudassir, for your answer. I think we'll be moving to the next talk, but thanks again for your time. And I know people would have more questions, and you are very generous that you allowed more people to your workshop. And I think many of them would be coming to your workshop, and I hope they can learn more from you there. Thanks again for your support, Mudassir. Bahut shukriya.
Thank you, Sulaiman. Shukriya.